Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 12th October 2023. My name is T.S.V. Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TRSV, Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been doing in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous, present, and future videos. So let us begin our topic of discussion for today's video. Today we are going to talk about four very important terms in the psyche of a human living entity. These four are known as empathy, sympathy, apathy, and callousness. We are going to try to analyze all these four items in the psyche of a human living entity, whether male or female. Before proceeding, let me tell you that empathy and sympathy are almost synonymous to each other, and apathy and callousness are almost synonymous to each other. In other words, the pair of terms is similar to one another when it comes to their meaning in the local or daily language of the society or in communication between everyone in this society. Now, empathy and sympathy are positive characters almost divine in nature, while apathy and callousness are negative in nature, almost demonic. In fact, it would be safe to accept that while empathy and sympathy are divine in nature, apathy and callousness are demonic in nature. These terms are qualities which may be present in any living entity, whether male or female. Similarly, it is true that all these qualities are present in every human living entity, whether male or female, all their lifetimes in a particular birth. It is another matter that these people may be selective in presenting their positive or a negative side at a given circumstance. It is quite possible that one person may be empathetic and sympathetic to others at one particular circumstance and totally apathetic and callousness to others when it comes to his or her whims, fantasies, choices, preferences, anger, vindictiveness, selfishness, greed, etc. How so? I would like to tell you. There is a true story about one woman who showed both characters in her own lifetime. There was this young man who was married to one lady, and both of them got a 2 or 3 year old child, a daughter. Suddenly and unfortunately, the wife got ill and expired within a few months. This man was left high and dry with a child in his hand. At the advice of his own parents, elders, and the society, this man decided to get married to another woman. This woman could have been a nice person otherwise, but the same woman was suffering from one of the five evils that Lord Krishna has mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and that was greed. Due to greed, she got angry and vindictive towards her own stepdaughter. She did not like this girl one bit because, out of selfishness, she thought that she wanted her husband for herself alone. She began torturing this 2 and 3 year old child, and this all was mutely witnessed by this woman's own younger sister, who could do nothing while she watched the apathy and callousness and cruelty of her own elder sister towards this stepchild. This younger sister was too young to protest against such callous butchery towards that stepdaughter. After some time, this woman gave birth to her own child, a daughter. Now, the apathy and callousness towards that stepdaughter increased manifold, so much so that the husband, the actual father of that elder daughter, was aware of this, or he came to know about it, and he protested so much that he and that woman had several violent confrontations. So much so that there were several occasions when this husband went to the nearest police station to lodge a complaint against his own wife. But to no avail. The police guys tried to appease the husband and wife, and they tried to make peace with both of them or between both of them. But one day, when the husband was out on some work, this woman, who showed a lot of love and affection, sympathy, and empathy for her own child, was careless enough to throw her own stepdaughter, a 3-year-old child, alive into a well. This was witnessed by this woman's own younger sister, who was horrified by the demonic nature of her own elder sister. After some time, police came and, on suspicion and after inquiring about the case, arrested the elder sister. The younger sister was so honest and good that she helped the court convict her own elder sister to life imprisonment for the cold blooded, callous murder of that innocent 3-year-old stepdaughter. This woman languishes in a prison in India even now because that woman was sentenced to life imprisonment in the year 1982 or 83. It is probably life without parole. The most important occurrence in this whole incident is that the husband, the father of both children, promised to his own now convicted wife that he will make sure that she never meets her own daughter anymore all her life. He took his surviving younger daughter and left the town and probably India for good. This woman languishes in the prison, repenting and regretting for her own deeds. This is a very important case history to describe what is callousness, what is sympathy, what is apathy, and what is empathy. The same person showed all the four qualities in one lifetime to two different individuals. One was a 2 or 3-year-old stepchild, and the other was her own daughter from the same man who was the father of that stepchild. Now we will be able to understand the differences between empathy and sympathy on one side and apathy and callousness on the other. Empathy is when one person shares the pain of agony of any fellow human being. Here, this man feels or tries to feel the pain of other people while they go about their own life's tragedies. Sympathy is when they don't share the pain, but they can understand why or how the pain is making others suffer due to some tragedy. As for example, A may be very sympathetic to the pain and agony of a B, but it is not necessary that A must actually be feeling the pain and agony of B. However, both these qualities, empathy and sympathy, are positive and divine. On the other hand, apathy and apathy is complete indifference to the agony and pain of fellow human beings or animals, etc. An indifference, a selfish, cold hearted cruelty where we don't understand what agony others are feeling. Yes, it is quite possible that we may not participate in inflicting that agony on fellow human beings. But on the other hand, in the case of carelessness, we may be a part of the case history where the other person is going through a lot of deprivation, pain, and agony, but we shut our own mind towards the other person's plight. Now we will talk about another such case history. There was this middle aged or old man who was extremely wealthy and a successful businessman, though, alas, slightly unscrupulous. This man had made his millions and billions through nefarious deals in the black market and in crimes of various types. This guy was quite old, almost in his 60s or 70s, but he had the evil of lust that preyed on his own psyche. So much so that because of his wealth, he could enjoy the sexual pleasure and the sensual happiness in the company of far younger women, most of them extremely beautiful, voluptuous, and sexy. One of them, who was the most recent, was a young woman of around 30 or 35. This old man had a young man who was working as an assistant to this old man. This man, the younger guy, was also married and he has a tiny boy, a son, who was around 8 or 10. This young man was loyal to that callous old man. In fact, so much so that he helped this old man build his own empire of nefarious, unscrupulous wealth and also was working as a very efficient and capable accountant who kept records of all these earnings for the sake of this old man. One day, that child, that 8 or 10-year-old of the young man, got sick or ill. This young man had been extremely loyal with this old man for around a decade. So he thought that under that circumstances he is quite close to this old man and so he can ask some favor from this old man. This young man approached that old man and told him that his own son was very sick, needed medical attention, and for that this young man asked for a financial loan. Here, callousness and apathy came to the fore. This old man was so cruel and apathetic that he could not understand, accept, or acknowledge the plight, agony, and pain of his own younger assistant who had been serving this old man for almost 10 years. This old man callously refused any financial help to this young man who wanted to give his son a good medical treatment. So much so for grandfatherly love. This old man had no sympathy for this child or for this young man. The young man was very pained, shocked, distraught, horrified, and agonized. On that very evening, on the day when this man had refused that financial help, this old man carelessly showed his own lust for his own girlfriend. He went and purchased a very expensive necklace for this lady, and while he was helping that woman wear that garland or necklace around her neck, this young man spotted this whole incident. He was horrified. Here, this old man had not given him even one penny for him to spend on the treatment of his own innocent young child, and here he was squandering his ill gotten wealth in the form of a very expensive diamond necklace as a gift to his own girlfriend. This young man got extremely wild and angry. He could know the difference between apathy and carelessness of this old man, but his sympathy and empathy for his own girlfriend. As mentioned before, this young man had been an accountant for this old man for years. He knew everything and every secret about this old man's financial earnings, wealth, and empire. He quietly tipped off the income tax department, which promised him a hefty commission if this man tipped off his own older employer. This guy gave all details of this callous old man's evil empire. The police raided both the old man and his girlfriend, confiscated all this man's wealth, property, empire, jewelry, etc., and put both the old man and the young woman into prison. This young woman showed her own part of callousness. All her life with this old man, this lady had been callously and shamelessly accepting expensive gifts from this old man But when both of them landed in the court, this lady unabashedly pointed her dainty finger at this old man, and she gave her part of story about the secrets of this old man. This horrified, remorseless, callous, cutthroat, greedy, deserving old man ended up with a very stiff and long sentence in the prison. Moreover, all his ill-gotten wealth in the form of movable and immovable property was, was immediately confiscated by the government. The young man got his own share of commission for betraying his own elderly employer, and with that money he treated his own young child and gave that boy the best medical treatment. This gives us a fairly good idea of what is the difference between empathy and sympathy. There are several godmen, saints, rishis, maharishis, monks, and angelic people who are quite empathetic and sympathetic towards their own humanity and society, like Swami Yogananda Paramhansa, Swami Bhakti Vedanta, Sri Sri Yukteswaragi, Sri Lahari Mahashay, Sri Pranabananda, Sri Panchan Bhattacharya, Sri Nirlamba Swami, Sri Tiger Swami, Mr. Billy Graham, the evangelist preacher, Jesus Christ, Puttapurti Sai Baba, Shirdi Sai Baba, Martin Luther King and Martin Luther, the great emancipators, etc., who are examples of being quite empathetic and sympathetic towards the humanity. Mahatma Gandhi, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Kennedy, and other such great leaders are examples of those who gave their own lives and their own resources for the sake of this country and for their society so that their country could progress. Sri Jamna Lal Bajaj, a well-known businessman and industrialist, gave half his property as charity for the sake of the progress of this whole country. So much so that Mahatma Gandhi went to the extent of saying that Sri Jamnalal Bajaj is his own fifth son. These are examples of empathy and sympathy. It is said that once, while Swami Lahiri Mahasaya was sitting with his own followers in Banaras, India in the year 1800 and something, 1905, he suddenly moaned and began weeping. Nobody could know what is happening. This Lahiri Mahasaya said, I feel I am drowning into the sea. Everyone was surprised. Here he was in a landlocked city in Banaras with no water body around, and he was saying that he was drowning. Next day, the newspapers reported that one boat drowned in the sea near Japan, Kobe, or some such place, and that several sailors had drowned in that tragedy. Lahiri Masha in Banaras, India, could suffer or understand or share the pain of those agonized sailors who were unfortunate enough to drown in the sea in Japan. This is empathy or sympathy. Similarly, we will talk about callousness and apathy. Hitler, the Führer and dictator of Germany, who was the main architect of the Second World War, was so callous, indifferent, apathetic, and cruel that he was responsible for the death of at least 6 million Jews and several million soldiers during the Second World War. This is a cold blooded example of apathy and callousness. So is the case with Genghis Khan and Timur Lenk, the legendary ancient warlords who were responsible for the annihilation of complete populations between Mongolia and Vienna in Europe. These guys made mountains of heads of human beings wherever they went. This shows the extent of cruelty a human being can indulge in. Criminals, dacoits, robbers, thieves, etc., are extremely perfect examples of total apathy and carelessness for the other human beings in the society. These criminals don't care even for a moment for the plight of other members of the society when these guys commit horrifying and very sadistic crimes to satisfy their own needs, greed, and lust. These are examples of apathy and carelessness. We must always try to be empathetic and sympathetic and must shun every incident where we feel that we may become cruel, callous, and apathetic. One more example of the contrast in the psyche of human beings as far as empathy, sympathy, apathy, and callousness are concerned is as follows. The terrorist group Hamas, which is a Palestinian liberation group, is very empathetic and sympathetic to its own community, citizens, and religion. So much so that it decided to wage a war against Israel, which is inhabited by Jews. The Jews were kind enough to trust and help these Palestinians get very lucrative jobs in and around Israel, thinking that this will economically improve the lives of millions of Palestinians. Jews were quite empathetic and sympathetic, but these Palestinian Hamas terrorists were so cruel, sadistic, apathetic, and callous that they went ahead on a rampage, killed women, children, and old men in Israel, shot toddlers in hundreds in Israel, raped the Israeli women, paraded them naked on the street, and celebrated their own demonic achievements. This is the height of apathy and cruelty and callousness. It shows that the same Hamas terrorists who were empathetic and sympathetic to one section of the society could stoop so low as to commit atrocities against another section of the society just because that section of the society did not belong to their own community and religion. There are several examples of such empathy, sympathy, apathy, and callousness in this world. We all must take a leaf out of these incidents, these case histories, etc., and we should make sure that we are as empathetic and sympathetic as the saints that I have mentioned as examples in this particular video. We must always strive to climb higher and higher in the rungs of the ladder of progress towards self realization, liberation, and final deliverance. We must always try to achieve the heavenly kingdoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we must shun the hellish kingdoms of this universe where we are sure to land if we are apathetic, callous, cruel, selfish, greedy in an illusion and are suffering from false ego. Any evil deed by us is certainly going to have its own repercussions, if not today, at least tomorrow, if not in this birth, at least in the next birth. Please remember that if you sow seeds of weeds, you are certainly not going to get trees laden with fruits and flowers. What you sow, so you reap. If you sow sympathy and empathy, you will get the same in good measure all your life. On the other hand, if you sow apathy and callousness in your own ground or in your own psyche, you are certainly going to reap the evil repercussions of such apathy and callousness from your side. What you sow, so you reap. What you say or do in your lifetime comes back to you with interest sooner or later. Nemesis is such that it will hit even the most wary and careless and cunning transgressor. There is no escape. Nobody can escape his or her destiny and karma. The seeds of karma that we sow today are going to bear fruits tomorrow. Hence, let us only sow seeds of good deeds, empathy, and sympathy in our own life so that we meet both material as well as spiritual success. All human beings and all living entities in this society are our own people. They are also creations of God. We must never forget this, and we must always act as good Samaritans in this society. We may not do any social service, but at least we can refrain from showing apathy and callousness to other living entities in the society. This is all I wanted to talk in this particular video. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular matter. Please give me your own expert views, thoughts, ideas, and opinions so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.